record time.
Okay, well, let's hope that'll be enough. You were gonna start this one. We're gonna go back and forth, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to our Christmas edition of the Casual Observers. I have got, not a beer, but it's root beer, Virgil's. That's great. Sold in stores across America. Thank you for the sponsorship, Virgil's. We appreciate it.
You know there's another podcast called The Casual Observers on SoundCloud?
I did not know that. What is it about?
I don't know, I didn't listen to it, but I looked into the legality of, podcasts having the same names, and Wikipedia said that our podcast is better, so it doesn't matter.
What? Okay. Well, actually, I have seen, a podcast on iTunes with the same name as a podcast on Stitcher, and they were totally not the same podcast.
Yeah, well, I was making a joke, but I looked into it on Wikipedia, and as long as the subject matter is different, it doesn't actually matter. I didn't listen to what they were talking about, though, so we don't know if the subject matter is different. But again, ours is better anyway, so it doesn't matter.
They could be bird watchers. Casual ones.
They could be. They only uploaded an episode, I think it was once every month or something.
I'm going to say bird watchers, then.
Okay.
Must be. Well, anyway, on this episode, we decided to go ahead and get this out of the way and find out once and for all, does God exist? Definitively answer that question here on this show. We are going to do it, but probably not.
I got my smartphone as usual, and I have a question for you about that.
Okay.
Are we asking if God exists, or, the more commonly debated question, is faith in God reasonable?
Well, I feel like asking if God exists is kind of the similar question.
They are similar, which is why I'm asking which one we're doing there.
I guess, does God exist?
Okay.
To start off with?
So, I guess I should just say this. When Josiah originally told me, I'm going to be a little bit petty here.
Okay.
When Josiah originally told me that we were going to be doing this episode next, I was like, you're crazy, there's no way we're prepared for this. It's just neither of us are even close to informed enough about this topic to actually do an episode on it.
Speak for yourself.
Oh. But he said it's a Christmas present for the fans. And I was like, I do love Christmas. So, also, what I've established is, again, we're the casual observers. So, the things we're going to talk about here are going to be less intense than an actual debate, because in an actual debate, people bring up facts and all kinds of physics, statistics, and stuff like that I don't think neither of us know very well. So this is kind of going to be you would watch this pre-debate. This gives you the questions and a general good grounding for the crazy stuff that actual debates talk about. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I think it'd be beneficial to listen to this because we're not that well read on the subject. So
Right.
we won't be talking... Everyone will probably be able to understand what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, because we won't... I was listening to a debate to get prepared for this, and you're absolutely right. There was... One of the guys was bringing up, mathematical equations in physics to explain, how the universe works and stuff, and I definitely did not understand, half of the stuff he said during that portion.
We can guarantee you won't be hearing any of that
Yeah.
on this episode. So, how
Okay.
about we jump right into it? Now, let me start off by saying that, obviously, we're defining very vaguely as just any supreme being.
Yeah, I was going to say that same thing.
Okay, so it's not specific to any religion.
Any deity is what we're...
And we're not trying to knock any religions specifically. If you believe in God, that's great. Your personal experience is more real than any sort of reasoning or logic. So, if you believe in God, just keep doing that, okay? Don't...
well, maybe. I don't know.
We're just
going to
here to
get
talk...
into some deep stuff here.
We're not trying to convince you to not or to, but I will say...
Just be open-minded.
In researching it, there is a lot more material out there suggesting that there isn't a God than there is. So I don't know if
Which
that's...
we definitely both found. We both found that while we were studying for this. We were both like, yeah, it's very hard to prove that a God exists.
But we talked about this on bias. There could be observational bias where, like, You want something to happen, therefore you look for that thing.
That's true.
But we should also say that there is no definitive answer here, so
Also,
just very suggestive stuff.
we're going to get deep, but we're not going to get that deep. So we need to make this statement clear for every topic that we're discussing. Right here, we both agree the universe does in fact exist, and we are not going into metaphysics or solipsism during this episode because that would just go way out there.
Solipsism?
Yeah. So
Okay.
that, because we could go really far with that, and we're not going to.
Because we know what solipsism is.
It's the belief that
Yeah,
you only
you-
truly know that you exist.
Right. Okay. So, let's start off with some of the stuff that might suggest that there is a God. Okay? So, obviously we know we know the universe didn't always exist. How do we know that? Because Stephen Hawking said so. Okay? So, I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. He wrote an entire book about it. This is just called The Universe Didn't Always Exist, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, so that suggests that
I didn't know that.
there was a catalyst. Yeah, he wrote an entire book about it. Just explaining like the reasoning, and I think he pretty much proved it throughout the entire book. Obviously, I didn't read it, so I have no idea. But anyway,
it makes sense if you know like how the universe is expanding and stuff. It makes sense that at some point there had to be a center to that expansion.
Right. So the universe didn't always exist, so that would suggest that, well, it would stand to reason that there was a catalyst for the creation of the universe, which could have been nothing, right, if you're an atheist. Or if you're a theist, that could have been God. So obviously that's not proof, but it's just kind of like what seems more reasonable. The way the universe works now, you don't usually get something from nothing. So it would stand to reason that the universe probably had to have been started from something rather than nothing. But not necessarily, because maybe you can get something from nothing and we just don't know how it works yet. Right?
That's fair.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
But from what we know about how the universe works now, it's highly suggestive that there is something that was a catalyst to the creation of the universe. Right?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said so far.
Awesome.
Should we get on to like the first points? Actually, okay. Let me say this. Everything that you studied, let's just like get that out of the way. Because again, I have like 30 points here that we need to talk about.
Now, and then there's do you have any suggested evidence for the existence of God? I just want to get, because I know it's going to seem really lopsided once we get into the evidence against and we're not making like religious arguments here or anything like that. These are just logic and science-based evidence here. So, just want to put that out there.
I literally only have one point, and it's not rather for the existence of God, but rather shooting down one of the arguments that says that God can't exist.
Okay, well I guess we'll talk about that later.
Okay,
and then there's the watchmaker theory.
The watchmaker theory. Oh
which
boy.
We all know about that.
Explain it, because people might actually not know when they hear what the watchmaker theory is.
It's like, okay, if you see a watch, that in itself is proof that there was a watchmaker. So basically, like, design is the point of it is that the design is proof of a designer. So we can look around and the universe seems to operate on certain laws and principles, which nothing necessarily necessitates that, gravity always work the same way and stuff like that. Like across the universe, nothing necessitates that. So that would kind of suggest that someone or something designed the universe to work in such a way, which is essentially the core of the watchmaker theory. Which again, it's not proof, but it's just kind of suggestive. So it comes down to, what do you think is more logical? That all this design happened on its own, or something was active in designing it?
Right. Part of the theory, though, is like, I think the usual example is you're walking along a beach, and on the beach you see a watch sitting there, and it's like, okay, is it logical for me to believe that over all this time, all these things came to the beach and randomly combined themselves through an infinite amount of time and random processes? Or do I believe that a watchmaker was here or someone dropped their watch at this beach? I think because, like, there's an area, like a beach, where you have nothing and then there's something. There's a watch sitting there.
Right, that's pretty suggestive. I would say.
That there is a creator?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Oh, okay, as I just explained, there's, when you have the problem with that theory of the beach and stuff is, it's not just a beach. This beach is infinite, and you have an infinite amount of time to walk across this beach.
That's not true, because if the universe had a definitive start date,
Right?
then that means from then till now is a finite amount of time.
But from now until the beginning of the universe is an infinite amount of time because we don't know how the universe began or when it began, right?
But we do know that it began. Therefore, that's a finite amount of time.
Kind of, though, because then we could get into, like, string theory and, like, multiverses and stuff.
I don't see why you have to.
Okay, what if there's multiverses?
Well, I'm just talking about this one right now.
Okay, so this one universe, we're saying that there's a set amount of time that the universe began until now, right?
Yeah, we know that.
But we don't know how long it is.
No, I'm just saying it's finite.
Is it, though?
Yes, finite means it's a measurable amount.
It's not a measurable amount, though, because as far as we understand...
Not yet.
Maybe.
But there is a definitive amount of time.
I guess.
You see what I'm saying?
I guess. So the idea is that... But, okay, the argument is, as of right now, there's a finite amount of time, but us being here at this point in time is not actually relevant. Because the theory is saying that at some point in time from the beginning into infinity, as time progresses, infinity, this would eventually occur. It's not relevant from now until back, it's from back all the way into the future. At some point in time, all the random processes and stuff would eventually create this.
What we're living in right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wherever, it doesn't matter what point in time we're at. And we don't actually know which point in time we're at, but...
Well, we do know the approximate age of the Earth. So is that enough time to create the biological processes that we see today?
Like life?
4.6 or 4.4 billion years?
See, now you're getting into the math and stuff, so I was talking about that. I don't know. Like...
I'm just one number.
Um...
Because I mean, yeah, so the universe, that could have existed for hundreds of trillions of billions of years, right? But we pretty much know the approximate age of the Earth, so we know how much time it would have taken. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like for all these chance occurrences to happen to make life.
Yeah, but if you get into the math of it, like, I'm pretty sure there's math that proves that we've had enough time for life to come about.
Okay, I'm not a. That's what I was asking.
That's what I'm saying, though, is like, we can't get into that because we don't actually know all the science behind it.
True.
We don't know how long it takes for life. I actually, like, put the definition of life here so in case we got into that, but it's not that relevant, I don't think, yet. So yeah, your watchmaker theory shut down.
Not necessarily.
We have an infinite amount of time, and at some point in time,
but I just
everything
proved
would
that
happen.
we didn't, because we had a definitive start date.
We had a definitive start date, but we had an infinite amount of time after that. It's like
No.
a ray, like
No,
a ray
we
of
only
math. You have a starting point, and then it goes on forever.
Yeah, but we only have right now, and you don't know that it's going to go on forever. If it had a start, then it could have an end.
That's fair, but we have no reference point of whether or not it's going to end. Like right now,
Yeah, you're assuming.
as I was
not.
saying, right now is totally irrelevant. The fact that we are in right now means nothing because
all I'm
right now could technically be further in the future or further in the past at any point because it's infinite.
Yeah, well, that's my point. Between the start and now is not an infinite amount of time. That's all I'm saying.
So you're saying that, okay, this guy walked 600,000 miles across the beach before he found a watch, which means the fact that he walked across the beach for that long shows that there must have been a creator for it because he didn't walk long enough for there to be random chance to provide the watch?
No, I'm just saying that it suggests that that is a possibility.
It's a possibility, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of what we're going to get to. The whole thing is like...
Concession? I'll take it.
No. The whole point is that... I hate being wrong. No. The whole point is that, like, we're going to get to the end of this episode and just be like, look, there's no definitive answer either way.
Of course there isn't.
So, your argument is just... All you're saying right now is there's no definitive answer, but it's a possibility that either side could be right. Well, you're right, Josiah.
I'm saying my point is suggestive of that.
That there's a creator?
Yeah.
My point's suggestive that there's not.
Well, yeah, of course. We're talking
And
about
they're
both sides
exactly
here.
the same points, though.
No. Because your point is that you need an infinite amount of time to get, for all these random chance occurrences to happen, to make the watch. But I'm saying we haven't had an infinite amount of time. And we don't know that we do have an infinite amount of time.
Okay, let's get into that then. Let's get into that. Okay.
Therefore, that would suggest, that makes it slightly more plausible that something made that watch.
Okay. How about the creator who made the watch, though? Is he not infinite time himself? Did he not have infinite time?
Yeah.
And so we do... If you're saying that there is a creator who had infinite time, who created the universe, why can't people who don't believe that there is an infinite amount of time pre-universe?
They can.
Because the whole thing is saying that the universe was created at a random point in time, right?
Right. Well, that would be the beginning of time.
Right. Well, sort of.
So time before that wouldn't exist, because time and the universe are sort of connected.
Right, with space-time and stuff, yeah.
Right.
Just
So
space and
the
time.
beginning of the universe would be the beginning of time itself.
Right.
So if somebody or something existed before that, they would have to exist outside of time.
Mm-hmm.
Or exist in all time, essentially.
Which is why they just have infinity, literally, because there's no time.
Right.
Which, infinity is such an abstract concept that they just have infinity.
Yeah.
Like, there's no time involved, I guess. And so either the creator or nothingness itself had infinity.
Right.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. Alright, let's move on to one of your points.
I just have a couple statements. Define what a god is. What's your definition of a god for this scenario?
I guess a being that exists outside of time. Which I think that in and of itself would kind of make you all powerful, since you sort of exist everywhere.
That's fair.
Because see, then that means that if he existed before the universe, that would mean he also existed outside of space as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make the being omnipresent as well, sort of. Like existing in all space.
Omnipresent, but not necessarily all-powerful. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you exist in all time and you're omnipresent, if that's pretty close to being all powerful, I would say.
Well, I have a point on that way later, but
Okay.
we'll wait on that because
Alright.
that's quite near the end. What is life? But we don't need to define that. I don't think it's that important until we get to it. It might not even come up. So here's a good one. Is the burden of proof upon the atheist or the theist?
Good question. I guess the theist, I guess.
Alright, let's move on to the next one. I agree.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I should, like, play devil's advocate here.
Yeah, okay. Jolly Rancher?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I'm not gonna eat it because I'm talking.
I am, because I'm talking.
That's fair, because we're casual. Can I have a blue one?
Yep.
Blue one's way better. I want this green crap. Are they all green?
They're all green apple.
Are they really? No,
Yeah.
give me that blue one. Alright. Really, there is no counter argument there. I have a statement here about this. The extraordinary claim that there is a deity. The reason the claim is extraordinary is because it is not currently observable that there is a deity who created everything and or rules everything, needs to be backed up by extraordinary evidence. Therefore, the burden of proof is upon the theist because it's not observable. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Glad we got there. Is it possible to prove the existence of a God with nothing but facts?
Well, obviously not. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Okay. We're breezing through these. I like this. If you say not, though, is that okay? Because everything we believe should be based on facts, should it not? So then, wouldn't
Yeah.
wouldn't it be fair to say that faith in God is not reasonable if we can't base the belief in Him based on facts?
No.
Explain.
Well, like what I hear most theists say about their belief in a God is, they've had a personal experience, which, you can't prove that to anyone else but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you do believe that, then that kind of is a fact. In a sense, that's a fact for that person at least.
Sort of.
Maybe not like a universal fact, but for that person, yeah.
So you're saying if there is an insane person seeing things, is that a fact to them that those things exist?
Yeah.
Okay, I have some really good points on that. I was expecting us to get there to the end, but let's just jump straight to those.
You don't put these in order?
I put them in order that I assumed we would be talking about them, but we're like straight up jumping like all over the place.
Okay.
So, okay.
Well, you see what I'm saying, right? Like if an insane person sees a bear chasing them, their fear is real of getting eaten.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So, here's a question. I really thought this was going to be at the end, but it's the fact that we can feel, know, and love a God that might not exist actually prove the existence of said God because it's in our heads, and so we can all like feel, know, and love these same things in our heads. So does that God exist, but just like in our head and not actually as a physical thing?
Well, if you think about it, everything exists in our head only. Everything.
That's true.
So that would confirm your point that yes.
Are we getting into solipsism now?
No, I'm just saying. Well, yeah, a little bit, but essentially, yeah. I mean, just because we're both looking into a camera lens and we're seeing, you're seeing me and you and I'm seeing me and you, doesn't necessarily mean that there is a camera in front of us. We might just be having the same delusion. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, to that point, yeah, God might,
Might be a delusion, just like you just said. Because you're saying this camera, this whole situation of us looking into the camera might be a delusion.
Right. But we're both experiencing it in the same way. In the same way that theists, a lot of theists, they all feel that they're experiencing God in the same way.
So would it be a fair statement, or would it be a fair belief, rather, for atheists to just assume that all religious people were delusional?
Well, no, because
they
could be the delusional ones and the theists could be right.
Right, but there's that bias there of their convictions. So
yeah, but if they've had a personal experience, like they feel God in them or whatever, or around them, I mean, that's real in the same way. In the same way that their car is real, they can feel it and they can drive it.
But we're getting to a territory here where we need to if we're just okay with calling certain people delusional or saying that we could be delusional, we're not actually making any progress in the question of does God exist or not. Because if someone is insane or delusional or something, then don't we need to just throw out their ideas?
I mean, it just depends on your definition of delusional. I mean, you're saying that Christians could be delusional. I mean, theists are, they could think that we're delusional. I mean, who gets to throw out the other person, the other group.
Right, so what I'm saying is we shouldn't throw them out and just call them delusional. What I'm saying is we need to accept
Yeah, I mean,
their
I
beliefs
was
as an actual thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I was just using the word delusion as a relatable term. I'm just saying that, like, they believe something that only they have experienced.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, unless you experience it, then you wouldn't know.
It's like people who believe in aliens or something. Right.
Right.
They like
Kind of.
They had an experience with an alien. They're like believing it, and everyone's just like, "Oh, they're just delusional. It's a conspiracy theory." We should do an episode on conspiracy theories, by the way.
There's too many.
We definitely need to do an episode on that.
Wait, just on the idea of the conspiracy theory?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Oh, okay.
The second half of that question is, if 98.5% proof, remember that statistic? If 98.5% proof was found that a God did not exist, would God still exist in our thoughts the same way that he does now, where we can feel, know, and love him, and then would he still exist even though there's proof that he doesn't physically exist?
Well, 98% isn't actual proof.
Right.
Because there's still 2%.
1.5?
Okay, 1.5. There's still 1.5% chance that he is real.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean...
Fine, let's bump it up 1.5%. Let's say there's 100% proof was found that a God didn't exist. Would God still exist in our thoughts the same way that he does now?
Well, of course, some people would just not accept it still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people would lose their belief that he's real, but I think they would still make certain decisions as if he was real.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that tithing thing. Who was that preacher? Let's not get into that. Anyways,
I don't know.
Yeah, but so saying that he would still be in the heads of some people, does that prove that, like, if 100% proof saying that he doesn't exist show up actually prove that he still exists because he's in the head of other people? So 100% proof that he doesn't exist actually proves that he exists?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I guess it would just be too... Well, so at that point, then if the majority of society... Basically, the majority decides what is delusional.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, at that point... Yeah, I guess they would just be labeled crazy.
They would just be labeled crazy instead of... Okay, that's fair.
You see what I mean?
That's when the theists become delusional. As opposed to
Like,
just having an actual theory.
Yeah.
Like right now, you would be quite arrogant to say that theists are delusional.
Right.
But if 100% proof came up, then it'd be fair.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I like that. Anything else on that? While I scroll through and find where we were at beforehand?
Well, no.
Okay, here's a statement. This one's very simple, but sometimes it still comes up. A deity creating the universe can be described as the Big Bang. There's no reason not to believe in a Big Bang as far as we know. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes that still comes up, though, where people will be like, no, the Big Bang couldn't have happened because God did it or whatever. But if God did it, I mean, he still created the universe. Here's kind of a big one. Why does, if at all, there need to be a God or creator?
Well, if something necessitated it, then that would kind of be proof.
But does something necessitate it?
I mean, apparently not.
Right?
But, yeah, not as far as I know.
So there doesn't need to be a God, is what you're saying?
Well, this is kind of a... This might be suggestive of that. But, as far as we know, morality doesn't exactly exist in nature.
Right.
At least how we understand it as human beings. We can't observe that those same principles being it's just not a thing in nature. Like if you just look at like insects or mammals or sea life, it's just not a thing the same way it is in humans. So that might suggest that humans are somehow built differently on another level than just biologically.
So you're saying that the fact that we
suggests it suggests that we have some kind of connection to something else.
I actually had a question on the morals. I thought we were going to get to that later too. Are human morals a demonstration or proof that a God must exist? Do we have those morals from birth?
Well, no. But the fact that certain things like murder is pretty much universally, just as an example, I mean, it's almost universally condemned.
Not as if it's a conviction of a cult.
Yeah, I'm saying almost universally.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
well, no,
it just
it's
suggests
not really.
Why.
Not really.
It just kind of suggests of like why is that almost universally condemned? I mean, do we just all happen to agree with that, or is there something similar in all of us that makes us different than like a cheetah?
Well, the thing is, there is morality in some animals, like elephants and stuff. It's said that we, in an evolutionary process, like, we are just one step above, like, chimpanzees and elephants and stuff in the morality level. Like, elephants and chimpanzees and stuff have been shown to care for each other and stuff like that. It's shown that evolutionary, we are just, like where we should be in our morals.
Like their kids and stuff?
Yeah, we are just kind of, like, one step above them.
Well, that's kind of a biological thing to care for your...
Not necessarily their kids, but, like, they defend each other or whatever, and they do nice things for each other and stuff.
They, like, get each other out, like, presents?
I mean, yeah.
They
celebrate Christmas with us.
They wrap up peanuts and, like, in leaves and then, like, give it to their elephant buddies.
Man, if I got one wrapped up peanut, I would be pretty disappointed. I'd eat the leaves instead. Be more food. But, so you're saying that the moral thing...
I'm just saying it's not really a strong point, but it's kind of suggestive that...
So that would be the reason that there needs to be a God, is the fact that we have morals. So you're saying morality is our strongest argument for the existence of a God?
No, not the strongest one.
Well, the question of why does there need to be a God says that there needs to be an argument that defines why we need one. Otherwise, we would just throw out that whole concept. And morality seems to be the only one that you've come up with.
Yeah, that's the only thing I come up with.
So the morality is the strongest argument?
For that question, yeah.
For why there needs to be a God?
No, that would be suggestive that there was one.
What I'm saying is there any evidence out there that suggests that only a God could have done it? There needs to be a God for this to make logical sense.
No, of course not.
Okay. Does the existence of the universe automatically prove that there is a creator to it?
Does what?
Does the existence of the universe automatically prove that there is a creator to it?
No, but that is highly suggestive, though.
It's highly suggestive or just suggestive?
Highly.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. Do you want to tell me why?
It's just like the watchmaker theory. Infinite randomness and a creator creating have about 50-50. So it's not highly suggestive, I say it's just suggestive.
Oh, okay.
Because they're equal.
So it's 50-50.
One is not more suggestive than the other.
Okay, to you.
To me?
Yeah.
Don't just make a statement like that without explaining it. Why could it not be to anyone else?
Well, there is a certain amount of subjectivity to logic.
A little bit.
I'm just saying to you.
Yeah, but in a situation like this, we all have to like agree on what's logical and what's not. Logical is like logic itself. It's like our basis for everything. It's like the
Yeah,
ground
and
floor.
there's a certain amount of subjectivity to it as well.
Okay. Hang on, give me a second on that one. I think I have a response, but I'm not sure.
Okay, just move on to your next point.
No.
You'll think of it.
No, I won't, because then we'll be on another point. We'll be talking about something else.
Okay, next episode.
Why could it be more than 50-50? Explain that.
I don't know how.
So you're saying you don't know why the logic could be subjective, but you're saying it could be in this scenario.
Oh yeah, logic is definitely subjective.
Okay, explain that for me.
Well, just like in this instance, like, you think it's 50-50. Somebody else might think it's not 50-50.
But
who's right?
What's the reasoning for that? Like, what is what is forcing them to think it's more than 50-50 or less than 50-50 or whatever?
I don't know. What's forcing you to think it is 50-50?
Because I think it's quite, like, there's solid arguments on both sides, but neither side is quite overwhelming.
Okay.
And so
why does that seem more logical to you than someone else thinking that, like...
if someone else thinks that one side is more overwhelming, then they need to explain it. They need to, like, prove that their side is the extra 1%.
How?
That's what I'm asking them. That's what I want them to explain.
but... Okay. Okay, I understand your position.
Okay. So you're saying that people could still believe that it could be more than 50-50?
Yeah.
Wouldn't they be wrong then? Because unless they can prove it, then it's just 50-50.
Well, how can you prove that it is 50-50?
Because we've debated this argument for like eternity, and no side has come up with an argument proving one side or the other is better. That's why it's 50-50. Because if one side can prove that the other side is a better argument, then it goes 51-49, and that's where things get
if they
messed
can
up.
prove it, then it goes to 100% and 0.
Does it?
If you have conclusive proof, then yeah.
Okay, so
you see what I'm saying?
So what you're saying then is that some people are biased and will, because they're raised a certain way, they're prone to believe one side over the other more, and so therefore they're really like 60-40 thinking, oh, the randomness is more likely than the creator.
It's not necessarily biased, but yeah, it's possible for someone to be as unbiased as they can be, because we know that everyone is biased to a certain degree. But yeah, someone can still be as unbiased as they can be and still favor one argument over the other.
What would some of the arguments be that would say, like, look, a creator makes more sense than infinite randomness?
Because of what we know about the universe now, there's not really anything to suggest that you can get something from nothing. In terms of, like, matter.
Yeah, but that argument's bad because how could you get a god from nothing?
Well, if he always existed...
God, if nothing always existed, though, too.
But we have something now.
So... Yeah, but there's a theory in, like, I guess atheism that there was... Like, when the Big Bang happened, there was a tiny point of, like, massive density or something, right? And that just expanded.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there was something. We just can't explain what the something was because we don't understand things beyond the universe as we know it. Just like a god would be.
Yeah, but I'm talking about there was a time before that.
Before that density?
Yeah. Where there was nothing.
Was there, though?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Why weren't you there? I needed you to study, man.
I slept in.
Oh, dang it. Alright, well, I'm going to say it's 50-50. That's my point on it.
Okay, that's...
Because neither side is very overwhelming or very preachy, and you kind of just choose. Is that fair for me to say that?
Of course.
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
not going to knock your subjective logic.
What is your opinion on it? Do you think it's more 60-40 towards one side, or like your actual opinion? Sometimes on this show we play devil's advocate to insinuate discussion. Insinuate's not the right word. To create discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But what is your actual opinion?
50-50.
You agree with 50-50?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Well, I don't know. See, I mean, in order to get, like you were saying, in order to get to, you would need an unlimited amount of time, right?
Right.
So, yeah, 50-50.
Okay. Is it a leap of faith to believe that the universe could have began from nothing, or that it has just always existed? Is that a leap of faith? Because that's an argument that theists bring up a lot. It's like, look, it takes just as much faith for me to believe in a God that it does for you to believe that there isn't a God.
I think that's fair.
You think it's fair that it's a leap of faith?
Well, anything that you can't Well, yeah, okay, so, yeah, this is a point I wanted to bring up. You know how, like, atheists are all about, like, science and stuff?
Yeah. All about that science. I'm all about that science. About the science.
All about that sciencey stuff,
No religion.
Right? Well, there isn't any, like, it just, atheism seems like a pretty extreme stance to take when there isn't conclusive evidence one way or the other.
So you're much more of an agnostic than an atheist, is what you're saying? But
no, not me. I'm a theist.
Right. But in the argument that you're making right now, you're saying that agnosticism makes more sense.
Yeah, totally makes, yeah.
That's the thing, though. Most atheists really kind of are agnostic.
Well, no.
It's only like the really preachy ones are the ones that like are full on like atheists. The really preachy ones that are like God doesn't exist and I listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson and Carl Sagan. And
deGrasse Tyson?
Whatever. I pronounce it Degrassi like
show?
Like the TV show with teenagers. I love that show.
The one that Drake used to be on?
Did he?
The rapper, yeah.
I did not know about that. When was this?
When he was a teenager, it was on like Degrassi, The Next Generation or something.
Really?
Yeah.
I watched like all of The Next Generation, I think.
Well, then you saw Drake.
Nice.
Yeah. And now you gotta go listen to all his music.
Now I gotta go watch Degrassi again. What was I saying?
Degrassi or Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah. Both. But yeah, it's only the really preachy atheists who
Well, no, I pretty much know. Well, at least the ones on YouTube, they're all self-proclaimed atheists.
If they're on YouTube, then aren't they kind of preachy?
I don't know. That's kind of a loose term there.
Preachy?
Yeah.
You know, if they're out promoting their atheistic ideas.
Well, most people aren't promoting they're indirectly promoting atheism by de-promoting theism.
Sure.
I guess.
Sure.
Which is, I guess, the same thing in a sense.
That's fair, because agnostics could do the same thing. But agnostics would also, or they should also, a true agnostic should also de-promote actual atheism. Because they're saying, look,
Right.
We have no way of knowing.
Exactly.
They are the true 50-50.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I think atheism is kind of not the most scientific stance, at least seemingly not the most scientific stance to take on the issue. Is that fair?
Maybe.
Why, are you an atheist?
I am not. Oh, for the point of this discussion, I am.
Well, right, yeah, I can show that.
I think there's an argument of, because like the definition of science, right, is like the study of the world around us, right? And so you're saying it's not the most scientific approach to be an atheist, but is it though? Because in science you're just studying the world around you. You can't study a God that isn't there. Like, God is not observable, right? Like, we physically don't go like, what's up, Jesus? How you doing? Like, can I get my pizza?
Jesus. Yeah, so you're talking about the Christian God.
any god in general, but you know Jesus is like one of the same or whatever. You can't be like, what's up, Allah, and like, how's it going? Or what's up, some Indian god that I don't know any of the names of. Or
Vishnu.
What's up, Zeus? How about that? Is Zeus like a good one that we can reference?
Wow, like Greek, that's like just mythology now. It's like universally recognized as being.
Which is why I'm using that one as an example, because it can't offend anyone.
Right. Yeah.
So we can't be like, "What's up?" We don't see Zeus and be like, "What's up, Zeus? Don't kill me and don't rape my women or something," because I think he was a horrible. Wasn't he pretty horrible? Anyways.
Yeah. You're not offending anyone, so go ahead.
The point is. Yeah, that's true. Except for Zeus himself. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, the point is, it's not observable, and so it's like not in the world around us. So is it the most is being atheist the more scientific approach?
Yeah, because if you're studying the world around you, then you would realize like the more we know, the more we realize how much we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's still very unscientific to totally close yourself off to, like, this concept without any conclusive proof.
That's fair.
I mean, it's okay not to look into it.
I can agree.
Like you're saying,
right.
Just the world around you, but it seems kind of preposterous to just go ahead and call it now.
I like that statement you said with the more you study the world around you, the more you realize the less you actually can possibly understand. That's fair. Wow, you changed my stance on that. Good job, buddy.
Changing, winning hearts and minds.
Hey, you're not allowed to be religious on this show.
That's a military thing.
Is it?
That's what they say when we go over to other countries to like.
As far as I'm concerned, the militia is a religion, so.
The military?
Yeah.
I guess kind of.
I was joking, but. Anyway.
You just changed my stance on that.
Yes, I did. Is the complexity of the universe a statement for proving that there was/is a creator? After infinite time, can't anything become infinitely complex as well?
Well, that in itself is a theory, I think, because you can't actually observe that will happen. You know, see what I'm saying?
You kind of can with random number generators.
Yeah, but see, we don't have an infinite amount of time for that to happen.
Yeah, but you take a sample size.
Yeah, and then that you're saying that this is suggestive of what will happen forever.
Right.
Which is totally, makes total sense, right?
Right.
But it's not actually proof that that's how it will work.
I guess, sure. So you're saying that the complexity of the universe is a good statement for proving that there's a creator?
Not for proving, but it's suggestive, I would say.
Man, you're using that suggestive word a lot.
Well, we can't prove one way or the other, so that's the only word that we have. That's the only appropriate word to use.
That's true. I guess we can't really test the, I was thinking of that too when we were talking about the watchmaker thing. We can't actually test infinity, so, because it's such an abstract concept.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do our best, and judging by our best, it's highly suggestive that anything can become infinitely complex after an infinite amount of time.
Right.
So it's highly suggestive in both ways? No, it's not highly suggestive, it's just suggestive.
To you.
So we're back to 50-50 again.
Yep.
I love this. I mean, this is basically where we're going to go with this.
That's essentially how all points will be.
Mm-hmm. Just, there's no answer. So that was actually one of my things at the beginning. I put there's going to be no answers here. We're just here to have fun. And by fun, I mean get frustrated that there's no answers.
Yeah.
For
Christmas, though.
For Christmas.
To celebrate Jesus' birth.
In case you guys didn't know, we're wearing Santa hats.
Yeah, in case you didn't know, after an hour into the episode.
See, that's the joke, because the 0 people who listen on SoundCloud are going to be like, they were wearing Santa hats the whole time? Man, I gotta go watch.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. No one listens on SoundCloud though. Just the same statements over and over again. Okay, this is a good one. Is it more likely that we have a creator because of our ability to introspect, while other animals do not?
Or do they?
Or do they?
I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, we don't think that they have the ability to introspect. Either way, the other animals isn't really that relevant. Is it more likely that we have a creator because of our ability to introspect?
Huh.
The fact that we can question morals and stuff is also kind of important because other animals don't actually question those morals.
Exactly. Whoa. Oh. Good point. Yeah. You know
Thanks,
what?
man.
I think I might be a theist now.
Worked really hard on that one.
That you said that.
You what? No. I don't think our ability to introspect is proof that there's a creator.
Yeah, well, I mean, given infinite amount of time, you would eventually have a creature that would be able to do that.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Now he's getting it.
Okay. So, yeah.
So it's not then.
Yeah.
Okay. Because eventually evolution... like, in theory, with infinite universes and infinite time and infinite... Or not necessarily infinite universes, infinite galaxies and stuff, evolution will eventually reach a point where people are intelligent enough to introspect. Or beings are intelligent enough. There's probably beings that are more intelligent than us that can go beyond introspection.
Whoa, outrospection. Or innerspection.
Is outrospection just like there's a lamp here?
I think so, yeah. Contemplate the things around you.
Yeah. Alright. We'll get more into that on our aliens episode.
Whoa.
Here's a good one. Is believing in a god a crutch to help people get through life?
Most definitely, I think for a lot of people, yeah.
But is it just a crutch?
We don't know. But
I almost spit out my water on your floor. Anyways.
It's okay, it's tile.
That's true.
But,
It's not tile.
But yeah, like that's true. I think a lot of people mainly believe in God because it's comfortable.
Right.
You know, like...
Whoa. You just said you think most people believe in God because it's comfortable?
No, I said many.
Oh, okay. Okay. Just verifying.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's over 50 or under 50%.
Could be exactly 50.
Could be 50-50.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, especially like the moral issues of life, like it's really comforting to feel like to know when you're doing the right thing and
To know that murder is wrong, to know that celebrating Christmas is right. Oops, no, religion. Know that giving people gifts is right. Yeah.
No, but whatever it is, whatever religion it is, like there's comfort in like, okay, here are the things that are wrong, here are the things that are right, and
it's comforting to have a purpose.
Yeah, and to think, okay, my life is eventually going to add to my creator's grand scheme or whatever he has for the universe and everybody. So
it's like
it's very, very comforting to feel that, I'm sure.
It's like a dictatorship in like North Korea or something though. Like the people enjoy worshiping their leader because they think he's so great, and they enjoy having like these things to follow and do because they can know what's right and what's wrong. And that's why they would think that, like...
I think a lot of people in North Korea are pretty uncomfortable.
No, there's, like, documentaries and stuff on them, and they just, like, love their leader. It's not some, like, hate relationship.
I don't
think. I'm pretty sure.
Was this documentary funded by the government of North Korea?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
Because that's because I've seen like religious documentaries that are like funded by the national church of that religion or something.
It's like,
and it's like, okay, yeah, I get everything I'm going to see in this movie is.
first of all,
Yeah.
I really doubt that North Korea would fund a movie to preach their message out to Americas and stuff.
That sounds like something Kim Jong Un would totally do.
I mean,
Or his dad.
now that he's messing with Sony and stuff, but
His dad too. I'm pretty sure he would do that.
so, but
So,
it's kind of a religion though.
What is?
The dictatorship. Like these people are
They
living.
realize he's just a dude, but I don't know.
They might not because like.
I mean, he gets gout.
Uh,
He has gout from eating too much cheese.
okay, that's not relevant.
I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure
You're
they
saying
realize
that he's
just,
not like a supreme immortal being. Yeah,
Yeah.
we know that from his father.
He's just a dude.
But like what was it, Japan? Like for a long time there was a leader in Japan who the people actually believed was a god, and there's people to this day who still believe he was a god.
Were they polytheists?
I don't know.
Oh. Well, I don't know. What was your point again?
The point is that I was just saying, because you said we were talking about it being a crutch to help people. It doesn't necessarily have to be a religion or a god. They can just like look up to a leader like the Kim Jong Un or some
The
Japanese
government
leader
or the
something.
military?
Yeah, it's like they follow these morals because they believe it's right, even though because it's comforting to know what's right and what's wrong, and
Yeah, and to feel like, hey, I'm in the right.
because people are afraid of like anarchy, I guess, and like I guess social Darwinism.
Well, I guess if you're talking about like governments, then yeah.
Well, no, I mean, if there were no governments, then it would be anarchy and there would be no morality. Like, you would go out killing people, raping women, doing all the stuff that we're told not
I
to do.
would?
I mean, I hope you would.
No, I mean,
You'd be my partner in crime,
I
bro.
was just saying that, like, I mean, there would still be religious people that would want to do that, you know, what has been dictated to them as right.
Right.
Even in the absence of the government.
And so that's why people go to religion. Not necessarily... So...
No, I think some people genuinely have, like, a religious experience and they feel or God or hear God's voice, and, you know, they feel like that's what they're actually following.
Right. So they have an experience and a purpose to live, and that's why there is religion, but not necessarily proof that there is no God. It's just that religion produces those things, but it does not necessarily prove that those religions are wrong. Is that fair?
Right.
Okay. What does believing in a deity do for us other than give us fire insurance? The same thing we just talked about.
It's comforting.
Yeah, that's getting to those religious people who say they're a religion, like from birth or whatever. They were taught that religion, so not from birth, but you know, like they were raised up that way, and they say like, "Oh, I'm Catholic" or whatever, but then they don't act like that at all and have barely read the Bible or whatever. Those people, it's like they're just saying that as a form of quote unquote fire insurance.
Yeah.
Because it's comforting to them to know that.
Yeah, like.
But they actually just want to live their lives like
however they want.
Yeah, like an agnostic or atheist or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Thank you. I try. Oh boy. This one's getting there. If a god created everything, just how powerful is this god? Does he/she go beyond space and time? Did it sit down and create space-time? Can we even fathom how complicated that is?
Well, yeah, it would have to be.
Like, yeah, the deity created creation itself. Not like, or the deity created create, if that makes sense. Like, not the painter painted a painting, but the painter painted the ability to paint, which is just beyond insane.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because, like I said earlier, like if you're existing outside of time and space, then you're gonna have to create those things.
Right.
So you'd essentially
But the ability
you'd
to
essentially
create
have to
didn't
imagine.
exist.
Yeah, you
The
essentially.
ability to imagine didn't exist.
Well, only to that being it would have. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's where the question of how powerful was this being, because like, how did this being?
Powerful.
How did the being even exist if existence itself did not exist?
Well,
It would have
existing
to
as
creating to create existence to exist.
unless like
There's
unless
laws.
there's laws where where God exists that actually the God being is bound by.
Right,
You see what I'm saying?
which is a point I'm getting to, but I want to say this first. There's also, that gets into like atheism and stuff, where we just accept like there's laws of physics and stuff. There could be laws beyond that just, these laws have always existed and there's no way to have created them or something. There's just laws. Like, nothing makes sense without them. Nothing even exists. Existence doesn't exist. The lack of existence doesn't exist without the laws.
Whoa, interesting.
Okay. One of those laws, or I want to get to that one later, but could a God have created everything, quote unquote, when some things already existed? For example, the Christian God could not have created sin. It just always existed alongside the God. Because the Bible tells us that, like, God and sin can't be together or something.
Right. Well, I've sort of heard the argument, or like, I've sort of heard it explained like, God is sort of like heat,
Mm-hmm.
and sin is sort of like cold.
The lack thereof, yeah. Is
Yeah.
that the argument you're making?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but if in the beginning there was just God, or a deity or a creator or something, then there could have been no lack thereof.
Lack of what?
Lack of God. Lack of God would mean sin. Like the heat and cold, right?
Right.
So if it was originally just a God, then there could have been no lack of God, and therefore sin could not have existed.
Right. Before people? Is that what you're saying?
Before everything. Before he created
Like, period.
creating. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
Sounds right.
then how powerful is this God if he... So now we get into the question of, did God must have created sin, right? Because there could have been no lack thereof.
Well, he created beings with the ability to.
Whoa. Okay. That will get into like...
Because if like sin exists only without God, then he created beings that could be separated from him.
So he created angels and stuff that could be separated from him, and humans later, but...
Yeah.
Apparently angels could do it too, which is weird. That gets really into...
Well, now we're just talking about like the Christian God at this point.
Right, that's what I specifically put this question as the Christian God. And I mean, I think everyone, or the majority of the people watching this know what we're talking about, but... That gets really crazy though, because how could... Like, that... I guess that questions the morality of the Supreme Being. If he created beings that could sin, and then he created beings that he would not send to hell, but would be sent to damnation by their own actions. So that questions the morality of this God who created everything.
Right, what you're saying is like, if he's all powerful, then nothing happens without his permission, basically.
Kind of.
Therefore, he's like indirectly sending people to hell.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is indirectly doing it, which is kind of a problem. It's not a problem, but it's an argument about, like, there are some people who refuse to believe in the Christian God because they're like, man, this God is such a jerk, he sends people to hell or whatever. And they question the logic behind creating someone just to worship him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they question the morality of that. Which I think is sweet. I think the fact that he created us able to question the morality is pretty great if he did create us, right?
Yeah, think about that, huh?
Could there be laws set in motion in the universe, not necessarily created by a god, that give a supernatural experience and we just attach those to a deity?
Could there be what?
Could there be laws set in motion in the universe, not necessarily created by a god, that give us supernatural experiences, such as a headache or a bone being healed, that we just attach those to a deity?
Yes. Next question.
I agree. Perfect. I think that's getting like really cool, into a really cool area, but there's no reason to go into it. Can there be an afterlife without a god? If evidence were to arise and prove that the afterlife existed, would that prove the existence of a god?
That would be highly suggestive.
Would it?
Am I right? An afterlife?
Not necessarily, because there could be, just like that other question, there could be laws of physics set in motion that allow us to go into an afterlife.
Okay.
Like, we could actually have a spirit inside of us, like many religions suggest, that goes into another realm or something. Yeah.
Like an intangible part of our being.
Like a soul or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And that's what goes on.
Yeah, that could be happening. So, that doesn't necessarily prove the existence of a god if there was proof of an afterlife, then, right?
Yeah, I guess not necessarily. I guess that place could just exist, and that place is just where we exist when we.
Yeah, it's just part of existence.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not highly suggestive. It's suggestive. It's kind of 50-50. Actually,
No,
that was a little more off, I think.
That one's not even really suggestive, I wouldn't say.
I'm glad I changed your opinion on that, because you at first said it's very suggestive.
I didn't say it was very suggestive.
You said it's suggestive. We have video, dude.
Okay, suggestive.
Okay, it's not suggestive though. That's what we agreed upon. Are spiritual or supernatural experiences proof that there's a creator? We kind of already answered that, right?
I guess to that person, then yeah, it kind of is.
Well, no, because we already said that there could be laws set in motion in the universe, not necessarily created by God, that give us supernatural experiences.
I know you're mixing up 2 points.
No, those two are grouped together.
Well, if you just want to talk about, like, all the different possibilities to arrive at the conclusion, or to arrive at the more succinct possibility that there is no God, then yeah, we could do that all day.
What I'm saying is it's not proof that there is a creator if we have supernatural experiences, because there could be laws that allow for supernatural experiences, right? We already agreed upon that. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. See, this is what we were talking about at the beginning, where we have all these questions that are like, no, none of this is actually evidence for a creator, which is why we're having issues finding a God.
Or finding out that if there isn't one.
Right. Do humans have a purpose if there's no God? Do we need a purpose? If we need a purpose, does that prove some kind of creator?
First question again?
Do humans have a purpose if there is a God?
I guess, yeah.
Do humans have a purpose if there is no God?
I guess, yeah. But a different one?
What would that purpose be? To procreate?
No, well, that's
our evolutionary purpose.
The issue here is, like, not where it's coming from, but, like how you define the true purpose, I guess. You see what I'm saying?
Say that again?
Like, people that don't believe in God, they're obviously not actuating the purpose that God would want for them, right?
Sure.
So they're living for something else.
Mm-hmm.
But they can still have a purpose. Just, it's like self-generated.
That's what I wanted you to say. That was perfect. Proud of you. Yeah. Humans, like, we create our own purpose, basically, if there is no God, right? Like, we don't actually have a purpose. We're just here, right? Existing.
Well, I mean, even if a God created us, that doesn't mean he necessarily created us for a specific purpose. He might have just been having fun.
That's deism, right?
I don't know.
You know what deism is?
Is it what I just said?
Basically, it's the theory that there is a God who created the universe and created everything, but he wants nothing to do with us and doesn't actually care about anything going on in the universe. He created it and just said, let's let it happen. That's
that's a possibility
right.
as well. So, either way, it's just, purpose. I mean, like, I can come up with my own. I could just make up something right now and go start going after it and decide that's what it is for me.
Like what we're doing right now. We created a podcast, right? We decided that's part of our purpose.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. We're getting meta here.
Unless it was God and we just didn't know it.
Yeah, God wanted us to create this episode about all these questions that don't necessarily prove he exists. Maybe that is what he wants. I mean, I guess that is what he wants, because usually in religious texts he's pretty vague. The whole reason we're having this conversation right now is because there are vague statements, right?
About what? About
his
purpose?
existence. This podcast could have been, our purpose could have been set forth by a God because he wants people to question him and be vague and stuff, because, I mean, that would make a lot of sense because a lot of religious texts are vague. We're having this conversation because so many religious texts are vague in the first place.
Okay, I got you. Got you. Not really, but...
I'm not going to explain it, dude. Everyone else gets it.
Okay.
Or I'm hoping they do. If they don't, leave it in the comments below if you don't understand what I'm saying. I'll make a whole nother hour-long episode explaining it.
If you've been listening for an hour and 11 minutes at this point.
11? That's, oh crap, that's 11 minutes. We still got some more points though, so I told you this was going to be a long episode.
Okay, run them down.
Oh boy. This is a big one. It's not big, it's literally just like 5 sentences. But this one is one that irks me a lot.
Okay, just get it out there.
Is the argument of human suffering valid in proving that a loving God couldn't exist if it's a Christian God? Maybe that's just a misunderstanding of love, or a misunderstanding of the relationship that a God has with man, or a God has with Satan, or a man has with Satan. That's strictly speaking of the Christian God.
That's great.
Because that's a question that comes up.
Nicely.
Shut up, you. Because that's a question that comes up all the time. People, like, on religious videos and stuff would be like, how could God let the Holocaust happen if he exists, right? If he loves us and stuff, how could he let that happen?
Right, okay.
And so what my question is that a valid argument? That God doesn't exist?
No.
Cool. Glad we got that one out of the way.
No, I mean, it's totally, like, okay, if a God created us, right, I mean, okay, well, let's take a step back here and talk about morality a little bit, because if a God created us, does that mean that whatever he says is the absolute true and right, morally right way?
That's a big question.
Right, but let's just assume the answer is yes. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, let's just assume the answer is yes.
It's not necessarily, but yes, let's assume that.
Let's assume the answer is yes.
For the purpose of going forward.
Yeah.
Let's assume the answer is yes.
Yeah, well then in that case, yeah, whatever you think of as being good or right or moral, it doesn't matter how you feel about it. It just matters whatever that God is saying is right. See what I'm saying?
That's a good argument.
So you can't say this seems really bad.
And so
to me,
so he can't be right.
Yeah, so he can't be right.
He's doing.
Yeah.
And so therefore he can't actually exist the way that he says he exists, which is loving, right?
Right. Yeah. So that being would define what all those terms mean, and so just because they don't fit in, if they don't fit into what those terms mean to you, that doesn't mean that he doesn't. That doesn't mean he can't exist. You see what I'm saying?
That's fair. I agree with that 100%. So that argument's terrible. I'm joking. I can't. You can believe that argument if you want.
Hey, do you believe? do you believe that absolute truth exists?
Absolute truth exists?
Yeah.
Oh, are you asking that website? That website was so bad.
Do you believe that absolute truth exists?
Let's not get into this. Do you remember all the responses? Because I'll go through it if you remember everything.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I do. Okay, absolute truth exists. True or false?
It's a big question.
Just pick one. Just pick one so I can go through it.
It's gonna lead me the same path either way.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. Sure, absolute truth exists.
Okay, actually pick false. Pick false.
Okay, false. Absolute truth doesn't exist.
Okay. Okay, so is absolute... You don't believe absolute truth exists?
Sure.
Is that absolutely true?
No.
You messed it up.
Did I?
You only have only yes or no here.
I'm saying no.
Okay. Do you believe absolute truth exists, true or false? This is not a glitch.
I know it's not.
Anyway, we found this website that like has like this loop of questions.
It's like a proof that God exists.com or something
yeah,
like that.
And it's not actually proof God exists, but it's pretty funny.
www.proofsthatgodexists.org. Go to it. It gives you like these questions, and basically it tries to prove that God exists in like this logical way, but they force answers upon you and like give you all these logical fallacies and stuff. Yeah. That will be like, therefore God has to exist, because we assume. I mean, I couldn't stomach getting to the end of that because they were giving me answers that didn't even make sense.
It doesn't go on for that long. Go to it.
Okay.
And like go through it.
Okay, let's go through this.
We'll go through it. So we're gonna prove God exists right now.
Okay.
Just pick one of those.
So it says absolute truth exists. Absolute truth does not exist. I don't know if it exists. I don't care if it exists. Let's go with does not exist. Absolute truth does not exist. Absolutely true or false? Let's go with false. This is not a glitch. Think about it. Absolute truth exists. Absolute truth does not exist. I don't know. I don't care. Absolute truth does not exist. False. It's just cycling me through because it won't take me to the next part unless I agree with what it's saying. I don't care if absolute truth exists. Let's say that. Thanks for visiting. Exit. And then it brings me to Disney.com. What? Okay.
Wow, sponsors. Cool.
What? Dude, it straight up brought me to Disney.com. I guess it's a Disney movie or something. Because it's a movie, right? Like, that's...
What? What's a movie?
There's like a movie down here. See? It's like... There's some movie that it's promoting. But anyways...
I think that's a book.
Oh, maybe it is. Oh, yeah, it is a book. Okay, absolute truth exists. Proof that God exists. Knowledge. I know something to be true. I don't know anything to be true. I don't know anything to be true is what I'm selecting.
Okay. Good. We're getting somewhere.
We're getting somewhere.
We're closer to the proof.
I really should connect to your Wi-Fi instead of running this on 4G.
I don't know anything to be true.
False. I don't know anything to be true. True. See, they're making a logical statement there. If I don't know anything to be true, then I can't say that I truthfully don't know that anything can be true. So they're forcing me to say something that I know something to be true. And then it goes, proof that God exists, logic. You have acknowledged that absolute truth exists and that you know some things to be true. The next step towards the proof that God exists is to determine whether you believe that logic exists. Logical proof would be irrelevant to someone who denies that logic exists. An example of a law of logic is the law of non-contradiction. This law states, for instance, that it cannot both be true that my car is in the parking lot and that it's not in the parking lot at the same time and in the same way. Isn't that Schrodinger's cat?
Huh?
Isn't that the cat thing?
I don't know.
That the cat is both dead and alive at the same time? So, do we say logic exists or logic does not exist?
Yes, it exists.
Okay, logic exists. Logic changes or logic does not change. This is where I got stuck. It says, to reach this page, you have acknowledged that there is absolute truth, that you know some things to be true, and that logic exists. Next, we will examine what you believe about logic. Does logic change? I think logic changes. Of course it does. It changes from person to person, and it changes over time.
Yeah, it depends on what fetch that you have.
Okay, so logic changes. This is where it gets really bad. If you believe that logic can change, then for all you know, logic has changed and contradictions are now valid. In that case, you could have no problem with contradictions like the one below. And it gives me two choices. One says logic does not change, and it gives me a second choice, and it says logic does not change. And so I select logic does not change. It forced me into that answer instead of letting me respond to it. So then it says, to reach this page, you have acknowledged that absolute truth exists. And you know that some things to be true, that logic exists, and that it is unchanging. Next question is whether you believe that logic is material or is it immaterial. In other words, is logic made of matter or is it abstract? Logic is not made of matter.
Where, I don't know what it's going for.
I don't know
there.
what it's going for there either. To reach this page, you have acknowledged that absolute truth exists, that you know some things to be true, that logic exists, that it is unchanging and not made of matter. The next question is whether you believe that logic is universal or up to the individual. Are contradictions invalid only where you are and only because you say they are, or is this universally true? Logic is person relative. We already discussed that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so logic is person relative. If you believe that logic is relative, then you don't. If logic does not apply universally, then it's not necessarily applied to the site, and you could have no problem with any contradictions, like the one below, and it gives me two options. It says logic is universal, logic is universal. It's forcing me into these like ridiculous fallacies that don't even make sense. To reach this page, you have admitted that absolute truth exists, that you can know things to be true, that logic exists, that is unchanging, and that is not made of matter, and that it is universal. Truth, knowledge, and logic are necessary to prove anything and cannot be made sense apart from God. Therefore,
Why?
the proof that God exists, is that without him you couldn't prove anything.
Well, there you go, folks.
That's so bad.
Conclusive,
That's okay. I have a statement.
bulletproof.
I have a statement about
evidence.
this. This is one of those things. Have you ever heard the statement that says, if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, then baffle them with BS? This thing is not dazzling me with brilliance. It's baffling me with BS by these logical fallacies.
Well, I am pretty baffled, yeah. That there's
Yeah.
only like two answer choices to every question.
And it's just like ridiculous. And then it gives me some Bible verses or something, and
Well,
so
now prove that the Christian God is the true God.
I don't want to read all this because it's so. Anyways, go to provethatgodexists.org and you'll see this this ridiculous site that looks like it was made in the 90s, and it's pretty bad.
Hey, lots of good stuff was made in the 90s. Myself, for
Nirvana. Oh, I guess myself too. I instantly went to Nirvana instead of myself. Actually, Nirvana started in the 80s, so I'm wrong.
Or are you?
Let's start it in the 90s, like Jimmy Eat World or something. Actually, they may have started late 80s too, I'm not sure. Anyways,
That's for our music episode.
Under Oath started in the 90s. You like Under Oath, right?
No.
You thought you used to.
Yeah, when I was 10.
You were 10? I don't like Under Oath either, really. They're okay. Okay. Glad we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
Um,
Alright, do you have any other good points?
Nothing good. Basically, it has been tested that young humans tend to believe in things that aren't actually there, and that's why we believe it's easy to believe supernatural things and easy to believe that there's a God exists from the beginning when our parents or whatever tell us that these things work. Right?
Okay. Yes.
And that's pretty much everything. Yeah, that's everything.
Alright, another episode in the bag.
Hang on, no closing statements or anything?
Oh, yeah, sure. I hope this helped you.
Help them with what? It wouldn't have helped them with anything. We've
Yeah,
basically come to the conclusion that everything's 50-50 and you can't actually prove that a God exists or not.
exactly.
I love it. Go watch debates and stuff with people who actually have facts, and you'll reach the exact same conclusion that there's no evidence either way whether a God exists or not.
Look, if there's a debate happening, that means that there isn't a good answer.
Yeah. What did you say last episode? It's about the journey, not the
Yeah,
destination.
not a destination. So,
Yeah.
I hope you had fun with us on our journey.
It was a good journey.
I hope you have a good non-denominational holiday season. And,
Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. We will see you next time.
Hang on, we gotta plug ourselves as usual. Dude, you are always just like ready to cancel the show. You can find Josiah Sandu at youtube.com/medov17 or what the heck is
No,
it?
it's youtube.com/Josiah_Sandu, or you can just Google Josiah.
I don't know,
Sandu.
dude. I linked it in the other episodes, and you have some weird username or something as. And
It was my old YouTube screen name,
Oh, okay.
but you can also get to it via youtube.com/Josiah_Sandu.
If you want to listen to this episode again on SoundCloud, because I guess we should have mentioned the SoundCloud at the beginning.
True.
If you want to listen to it again, I will upload it to SoundCloud because Josiah doesn't do his job.
It's 50-50. I'll do it this time.
Yeah. If you want to add Josiah on Twitter or Facebook, it's
Josiah Sandu on Twitter and Facebook
Really?
and YouTube. Yeah.
Your Twitter handle is at Josiah Sandu?
Uh-huh.
That's cool.
Yeah, I wasn't taking hits.
You're probably the only Josiah Sandu in the world.
No, I've seen some other ones on Facebook.
Oh, really? Are you like, is your Facebook thing like josiahsandu.9 or whatever?
No.
What, did you set your own URL for that?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Actually,
then it is
probably
Josiah Sandu dot whatever number.
Yeah, it
I
is.
checked your Podfilter 5 or something like that. So.
Alright, Facebook.com/Jacob.
I think I linked that in the other video where we joked about.
Follow him if you like metal music.
Yeah. If you like Between the Buried and Me, wrong way. If you like Between the Buried and Me, you can message me and talk about the Parallax too, because it's a good album.
Parallax, the Green Lantern villain.
Oh, I did not know about that.
Yeah, actually in the Ryan Reynolds movie too. That was the main villain.
I didn't watch it because everyone said it was bad.
It was. Oh my gosh, I watched the extended cut. Even worse. Oh my gosh.
Worse. They added more content and it was just worse content.
Yeah, they added like more of him as a kid. Oh, he's so bad. Alright, well, that'll do it for us. Have a great Christmas and we will see you next time.
That was good. I like this. It'll be good.